Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and we may have just watched one of the worst games ever by a Niner team in the Shanahan and John Lynch regime. Since 2017, they've had plenty of ugly games, and this one they have topped every single one of them. Gonna get into Brock Purdy's terrible performance. Also going to talk about some defensive problems, some referee stuff, and an overall concern we have going forward with San Francisco. They're 3-1. There are some positives, albeit very little to take away from a game like this. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show because this game had everything. When this game had everything, this podcast will also have everything. Sadness, happiness, ranting, anger, hate, happiness, maybe hard to find, but it'll be in there somewhere. And I think to start off today's show, I want to discuss some positive because this will probably be a fairly negative episode, which isn't ideal. It is a 11:28 p.m. on Sunday night, and I don't like to end my days being sad. I want to end them being happy, and the Niner game was so infuriating. I wanted to give us maybe some positive things. I thought Fred Warner played great today. I thought the defense, albeit struggled early, a lot of that was because the offense wasn't great and kept turning the ball over, and even in the brink or in the midst of their issues, I thought they played good football. No Nick Bosa. How do you answer? Again, they had no sacks, no quarterback hits. The pass rush was not great by any means. Not saying that, but they continually found a way to get off the field. In fact, this game further proved to me that, not having Nick Bosa sucks, and issues will come with that against better quarterbacks. On the Rams on Thursday night will probably expose that some more, but the defense had San Francisco's offense in an opportunity to win this football game like over and over and over again. And the offense just said, hey, we're pooping the bed over and over and over again. So I do want to give Robert Saleh's defense a ton of credit. They had their backs up against the wall at a way too high clip, and I think found themselves coming out fairly successful most of the time. Was it great? No. Was it a perfect outing? No, there's no way to describe this game as perfect by any means, but, I thought some stats were padded late. Travis Etienne had a big 48-yard run off a Luke Farrell fumble. Again, there were some certain problems there, but the defense played good enough. I thought that the DPI on Stout was not a flag, and it took away what could have been San Francisco's first interception since last year. Now they have a NFL record 11 games with no interceptions. I thought that was a bad call, but I'm no ref, so here we are. But I did think San Francisco's defense played good enough to win. Not great. At some points, not even good. But they held a Jaguars team that the Niners offense gave the football to 4 different times, and 3 of those times by their quarterback. and still had a one-score game in the balance because of the defense. And even the 7 points Jacksonville scored to make it 26-21, or give a 7+ point difference in this game, was by special teams. So in reality, San Francisco's defense gave up 19 points in this game. And by mathematics, they played good enough to win, 21-19. Like, I know it's hard to find some positives, but I do think Fred Warner played great. Winters played great. They got off the field on third down a lot in this game late. Like, the second half was perfect. I don't think an opposing team has scored a fourth quarter touchdown against this team on defense, and I don't know if they scored a first quarter touchdown either. Like, their opening game's up strong and their closing game's strong. And maybe I'm wrong there, but I'm pretty sure they did not give up a fourth quarter touchdown at all this year. Didn't do it today against Jacksonville either. So the defense is still strong. We saw in the postgame Robert Saleh and Liam Cohen going at it on the sideline, in which I won't say the exact words that left either coach's mouth, but Cohen refused to shake Robert Saleh's hand. Which, okay, there was, I guess, weird beef because Saleh said Jacksonville was legally stealing signs and praised them for the success and how they can do that. Didn't knock them, praised them for doing so. Cohen didn't like that. Jacksonville wins, refused to shake Saleh's hand. As he's walking away from Saleh, and maybe Robert Saleh said something to him, he turns back around and says, "Keep my effing name out of your mouth." And I guess Robert Saleh responded. And to give you the full quote, this is per Nick Wagner of ESPN. Saleh said, "I'll F your world up. You don't want to F with me. I will effing end your effing life." My assumption is there's either going to be a large fine, a suspension, or somewhat of an investigation into what Robert Saleh said. But if there was going to be a cherry on top of what was one of the worst games of the regime, wouldn't it be pretty fitting that unnecessary coaching beef leads to Robert Saleh being suspended or fined for his post-game comments? So keep an eye on for that. But this game had everything, man. It was really fun to watch from a pure chaos standpoint, but from a Niner fan standpoint, this game was really hard to watch. Roller coaster ride, and it was from the get-go, because to kind of, again, give you some more positive things, and I thought, Brock Purdy coming out, there'd be some rust, there'd be some problems, but I'll tell you what, the first instance I felt something was wrong was San Francisco didn't win the coin toss. And I wouldn't normally feel that way, but we talked about in the preview podcast for the Jacksonville game that Jacksonville's good, and I was really finding a hard time to kind of find a lane for San Francisco to win. I still picked them to win, and the unfortunate part is they had every opportunity to win this game. They just couldn't pull through because of how bad they played. Because Jacksonville was giving them every chance. Like, there was no reason for San Francisco to be in this game. And they were. And they were in this game without Kittle and no Bosa, no Bernardo Green. They were in this game after losing Pearsall, and Juwan Jennings was kind of hobbled on and off the field. And after all the bad things happened, they were in the game. But the first kind of glimmer of it may not go their way was them losing the opening kickoff or the coin toss and it leaning towards Jacksonville's favor. But I thought that kind of disappeared because I had questions as to how San Francisco going to look in this game. How is Brock Purdy's toe going to hold up? And for the most part, that wasn't a problem. But the first drive of the game, San Francisco marches 13 plays, 57 yards in about 6.5 minutes, and they score 3 points. Now, you want to get a touchdown there, obviously. Didn't love the red zone offense in this game, but they did convert 2 big third downs, a 3rd and 1 QB sneak, then a run by Christian McCaffrey for 11 yards on a 3rd down. So, there was, okay, San Francisco's come to play. And in my notes here, I say, wow, the running game is 5 for 25 on the ground. They haven't done that all year. 5 yards per carry? Like, we're back, baby. We're feeling pretty good. Didn't love the red zone calls, though. A run by Christian McCaffrey goes nowhere. A terrible screen pass to Christian McCaffrey gets a loss of yardage. Then it's 3rd and goal. Purdy kind of overshoots McCaffrey in the back of the end zone, leads to a field goal. There was glimmers of like, okay, Purdy's not playing terrible, but he's high pointing a lot of footballs, which clearly came back to haunt San Francisco and may lead to folks saying that he wasn't fully healthy. It certainly felt that way. He won't say that. Shanahan won't say that. But while Purdy does often high point the football, usually that's by design because he's known for being fairly accurate. But he doesn't mind high pointing the football over the middle of the field because he knows he has Juwan and Kittle and guys can go up and get the football. And while that does reign true today, there was clearly something off with the release where the ball was sailing high a lot. And while it didn't plague him in the first drive, there was signs of issues that would come to be a major problem. But they scored 3 points. It wasn't great, but okay. Then the next drive, Pinheiro has a terrible kickoff, and the ball would have gone out of bounds and given the Jaguars the ball at the 45-yard line, 40-yard line, but the kicker, Allen, catches the ball on his own 7-yard line. And you're like, okay, 2 breaks, a field goal, and great field positioning for your defense. Then Nick Bosa's replacement, Samuel Kawanu, jumps off sides. And you're like, well, that's not great. But then after a really long drive, you almost had a big interception. You have them on 3rd and 7. They get a completion, 4th and 1 conversion. Then you force them to punt. And in my notes, once again, I say the run D kind of, a couple big plays early, but they tighten up when it matters most. They got 2 TFLs against Washington on an end around. Then they got a big run stop by Etienne. But they punt. Lawrence looked shaky, did their job, you were ahead 3-0. And this was the first moment where we all kind of collectively said, uh-oh, this is going to be harder because we discussed, the Jacksonville's defense's propensity to getting takeaways and forcing turnovers and how they had 9 coming into the year and they had 7 interceptions. Like, they were known to taking advantage of bad quarterbacking play. And the next drive, San Francisco's ball on their own 20-yard line after the punt. And they have 2 pretty nice plays. Slant to Pearsall for kind of a 3 or 4 yard gain. Run for Christian McCaffrey. It's 3rd and 2. Okay. You get a comebacker to Pearsall. He beats Travis Hunter in coverage. You're feeling great, right? You have a first down. You're about your own 35 yard line. You're starting to kind of gain momentum again. You're on your way to score. Then Luke Farrell fumbles. And I said, wow, what a revenge game. Like, what a way to give them the ball back. And this was also one of the first 2 instances where there was a 2-play momentum shift, where Jacksonville either forces a takeaway or they give up some points and they answer back immediately. In this case, they force a fumble, they recover it, you're on San Francisco's side of the field. You're on your own, or you're on San Francisco's 48-yard line. Very next play, bing, bang, boom. Pinnock, Winters, I don't really know what they were doing on run defense. Michael gets beat as well on the outside by Etienne, who we talked about having the most, or like the 4th most explosive plays coming in. 48-yard touchdown run, and we all said, oh crap, 7-3. That isn't ideal, but can you kind of tape the bleeding? Can you, it's early in the game. Can you somehow find a way to kind of stabilize yourself, if you will? And that word stabilize may come up a lot in this podcast because there really wasn't much of a stabilizing force. And funny enough, the next drive for San Francisco, that also rang true because they, like the last drive, are starting to find momentum. You're on your own 25-yard line thanks to a Sky Moore return out of the end zone, which... Stop doing that. Like, stop taking the ball out of the end zone. You get it on the 35 on a touchback. You're only penalizing yourself if you take the ball out of the end zone. I get it. The ball was at the goal line. Don't, just position yourself to catch the ball in the end zone. You don't want to have a Steelers situation where you go, I didn't recover the punt or the kickoff and the other team covers it for a touchdown. I get that too, but there's ways to maneuver around that. Moore kind of got caught in between on the line itself, but then didn't want to step back into the end zone, so he took it out anyways. I digress. 25-yard line. You get to 3rd and 5. Pearsall makes, at that point in time, the play of the game. Right? You're down 7-3. He makes an insane, and it sucks because with how the game went, this play is buried under everything. He makes an insane falling down, fading away, one-handed, one-armed catch to get you a massive gain on 3rd down, on 3rd and 5. And you're in Jacksonville territory. It's deep downfield. And I think we all, again, once said, oh my God, Pearsall. He's in for another big game, having excellent catches, already 3 on the day through 3 drives. And in the very next play, near midfield, Purdy once again kind of throws the ball slightly out of reach of Christian McCaffrey, who wasn't great in this game. He had 2 drops. He has 4 drops in back-to-back games, and this was not one of them. I think this one, albeit was, yes, catchable, was a very hard play to make. I think this ball could have been in a better spot from Brock Purdy, but some may say CMC's hands are on it. Got to come down with it. I can't argue with you there, but ball out of reach, tips it, kind of try to get it back to himself, then it goes right into a Jaguars defensive player's hands, and that's back-to-back drives and back-to-back takeaways. San Francisco's reeling, and thankfully, Jacksonville gets a personal foul on themselves and backs them up to their own 10-yard line. And you're saying, okay, defense can play bend, don't break, but no. They march. And this, to me, was a big game-changing drive in the game because they're on their own 10-yard line, right? The very first play is a completion to Brian Thomas Jr., who wasn't great in this game, mind you, for Jacksonville. The next play is a run by Bashal Tutin. They get called for holding. So it's 2nd and 12, okay? Then it's more holding on Jacksonville. It's 2nd and 17. But on this play, Shanahan wanted to decline the penalty on 2nd and 12. He wants to decline the penalty to make it 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 11, whatever it would have been. It would have been 3rd and long. Instead, the refs mess it up. He's saying, wait a minute, I want to decline this. They're saying, well, we thought you wanted to accept it. So it's 2nd and 17. He calls timeout. And is like, wait a minute. I wanted to be 3rd and 12. I said decline. You guys messed it up. In the post-game press conference, Shanahan says they came to him during the timeout and said, hey, we can't change it. We messed it up. That's on us. So Shanahan's like, the refs made an error. I can't change it. I'm mad about it. I've now wasted timeout because they messed it up. It's 2nd and 17. You get to run stuff. And I don't know about you, but I had shades of Sam Darnold against, the San Francisco last year, Minnesota, backed up against his own goal line, Justin Jefferson. And I was like, oh, God. I'm getting deja vu in the worst way possible. This is deja vu. And this is not Denzel Washington deja vu. This is I'm having a nightmare deja vu. It's 3rd and 15. Jacksonville goes no huddle. They complete a pass 28 yards downfield over the middle to Travis Hunter. And it's exactly what Kyle Shanahan was trying to avoid. Now, you can say they were already on 3rd and long. Now they're on 3rd and longer. But it's that is what he was trying to avoid a guy getting open deep over the middle. Yes, you can say, well, why couldn't you execute on 3rd and 12? Or it could have been 3rd and 12 instead of on 3rd and 15, 3rd and 17. And again, there is no kind of way to kind of defend that. But still. That was what he was trying to avoid earlier in the down. The ref screwed that up. It gives Jacksonville complete momentum to go all the way down the field. But funny enough, San Francisco has them on 3rd and 11, and they give it up on defense, and then they find Hunter Long in the end zone for a touchdown. It's 14-3. They just marched 14 plays, about 90 yards in 8 minutes on you. Penalties killed the drive, and this was kind of one of the first drives where the lack of pass rush came into a clear vision of like, oh, they're not getting home. And Jacksonville's offensive line, for as good as they were in this game, their left tackle walked into today terrible. 14 pressures, a couple sacks given up the last couple weeks. The right tackle got hurt during the game, and they still couldn't find any pressure. Bryce Huff couldn't get home. Michael couldn't get home. Nobody could get home. Nobody. I think maybe there was one pressure the entire game. Like, that's inexcusable. You can't tell me with Robert Saleh coaching your defense, and they played better in the second half, mind you, but they couldn't get any pressure at all. And the Jaguars' offensive line sucks. Sucks. It sucked week 1, it sucked week 2, it sucked week 3, but it's great against San Francisco. And it's like, okay, this is not good. We're in trouble. So how does San Francisco answer? Oh, they go 3 and out. Because Purdy on 3rd and 5 overshoots a rather open Jake Tunges. Then Thomas Morstead probably has his worst punt of the year. Goes 42 yards downfield. And the second glimpse of special teams not being great today. Not sure if it was because the clouds in the air and they felt gloomy, but San Francisco simply came out flat-footed, not ready to play. They just came out with no energy. It was inexcusable. They were bad. They were bad the entire game. But they go 3 and out. You punt the football. And this is where you started to say, like, we're in dangerous territory. Because they're so flat-footed that they may be down 21-3 prior to halftime. Like, that's how ugly things are getting. They went on a stretch where they went 3 drives. They ran 11 plays, not including a punt. They went 4 plays on their first drive, led to a fumble. 4 plays the next drive led to an interception. Then 3 plays led to a punt. Your defense cannot be on the football field that often because your offense isn't finding success. Because your offense can't find momentum, they can't secure the football, they can't take care of the ball, they can't at least sustain some drives to get field goals or at least have elongated 9, 8, 10-play drives and give your defense a breather. There was always going to be concerns about Brock Purdy's rust. It was showing very early in the game, but they had to find a way to stabilize, that word again, and give their defense a break. Thankfully, their defense answers the call. They get a 3 and out. They get a fair catch interference, and you're on your own 41-yard line. That is San Francisco. What does San Francisco do? First play, Kendrick Bourne drops the first of his 3 passes. Kendrick Bourne was terrible in this game. And funny enough, this was not his worst drop pass. The next play, a screen pass, Christian McCaffrey. Another drop for CMC. But it's 3rd and 10. What happens? Purdy finds Jake Tunges, goes to the 2-minute warning, get a completion. Okay? You get a first down off a Purdy scramble a couple plays later. Jake Brendel, who's also terrible in this game, okay, gets a false start. 1st and 15, a minute and 20 on the clock. Purdy evades some pressure, but it's incomplete. Then at 2nd and 15, they call an awesome pitch play where hook and ladder, go to Pearsall, catch it in the flat, kind of little pitch to CMC, runs for a first down. Great play call. Your offense is reeling. You feel like you're in the danger zone. You got to find some momentum here and make a play. Great play call by Shanahan. You're in the red zone, though. After a completion to Juwan Jennings, you're feeling good. 1st and 10, run by Christian McCaffrey. Doesn't go for much, but still. Then, incomplete pass to Juwan Jennings on 2nd and goal. It was low, it was behind, but Jennings did get his hands on the football. If he was healthy, it probably would have been a catch. I digress. Not a great football, but not the worst football. Could have been a touchdown either way. Then 3rd and goal, Purdy scrambles, can't find anybody, incomplete pass, field goal. Great. You've been in the red zone twice today, and you have not scored both times. You're 0-2 in the red zone. Now you're down 14-6. It's a one-score game. One-score game, okay? You just scored, made it 14-8, and you're thinking, okay, how do we not get lapped with the halftime score in the second half beginning score by Jacksonville? Because remember, you lost the coin toss. The first instance of, this may not be San Francisco's day after all. What happens? What happens? With 40-ish seconds left on the clock, the special teams unit allows Etienne to run a kick return back 55 yards.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find
You
it.
can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you.
Ooh.
Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
And you're thinking, are they going to score a touchdown before halftime? Everything we're doing, the Niners are doing, is not working. The run defense has been shoddy. There's been some problems. Get a big touchdown run to Etienne early in the game. Your pass defense, you're playing like soft off-zone coverage. You're kind of giving Lawrence whatever you want underneath. I didn't get that. Make them beat you deep downfield. Maybe there was some concerns about no Renardo Green and Darrell Luter Jr. There was a play of his I didn't love later, but overall he wasn't bad in this game. And in fact, Jacksonville, I don't think completed the pass that deep downfield besides the 28-yard catch to Hunter, which was kind of like, we have to throw it deep to get a first down, so why not? Didn't love the soft off-zone coverage, but that did allow, and this was one of the plays because they get a check down to Allen, and then Winters gets called for a face mask. And penalties will become a major problem in this game for both teams. Kind of already are, but here, a 55-yard return, then a 15-yard face mask. You gave these dudes 70 free yards, essentially, on this one drive. Then the next play, it's a kind of a comebacker to Brian Thomas Jr. on the left sideline, and Luter Jr. is in coverage. BTJ catches the ball like, 2 or 3 yards, maybe not that far, but far enough away from the sideline to keep him in bounds, force Jacksonville to take a timeout, force them to, have to panic somewhat. Instead, Luter kind of gets scared BTJ might cut up field, which is not having the play awareness, the situational awareness to be like, no, they're getting out of bounds. He kind of stumbles and is and the hesitation where he has BTJ dead to rights. If you just run at him, you hit him, you bring him down. If he's falling down in bounds or you kind of pull him closer towards the end line, you're going to be fine. You're going to force them to panic. And look, I get it. I'm sitting here. I'm Monday morning quarterbacking. I'm armchair quarterbacking. What could have been? I could do it better. But that is plays where you'd like to think you would know what to do, and you know what the Jaguars are wanting to do, that you would try to grab him in bounds or at least give him some more fight to stay in bounds. He didn't do that. Didn't love that, but that's kind of the one blip on his game. Didn't think he was terrible, but that's kind of the one thing where I'm like, oh, okay. Then they false start. And with 21 seconds left, it's 1st and 15. They get held to a field goal. It's 17-6 at a halftime. And you're thinking they just erase what we just did on, this long drive before. San Francisco had to scratch and claw to find any glimpse of offense. Every play was an issue. The offensive line was terrible today. Terrible. They couldn't do anything. This offensive line, we knew was bad. They had a bad game against Seattle. They bounced back against the Saints, which, yeah, it's the Saints. They played okay against the Cardinals, which, okay, it's the Cardinals. They're better than New Orleans is. They're worse than Seattle and worse than Jacksonville is. And Jacksonville's probably the best defense they've played all year that can actually capitalize on your mistakes and can force you to make mistakes. I think Josh Hines Allen is right now the best edge rusher in football. Yeah, Myles Garrett's phenomenal. Nick Bosa was. And Bryce Huff has been good, but JHA has just been another level. He was terrorizing Colton McKivitz and Trent Williams all day. Trent didn't have his best day. There was a handful of plays in that second half where you just said, yikes, you look 37. Like, you look like you're showing your age a bit, which you expect to against guys in their prime that are speed rushers, so that's kind of the expectation. But the unfortunate part is, when that's your best dude, when that's a guy we can all point to and say, hey, anchor us down, when that guy starts to slip, then you have a 7th-round rookie playing left guard who, there were times I don't think the sacks, the turnovers were his fault. There were times I don't think the blown up kind of offensive line huddle or kind of pocket was his fault, but other plays, he was getting bullied. Brendel, terrible. Once again, I don't know how many times we can say that and be like, oh, see you next week. He's terrible. He's been terrible. I don't know what they see. I don't know what they hear. I don't know if they're basing it on PFF scores or their own eyes, but my God, get LASIK, because something needs to change. And you can't do it now, but this is the whole San Francisco. They dug it for themselves. This is their fault. Purdy was not great. He wasn't atrocious, but he wasn't great. And then McKivitz was McKivitz. Like, it just, when your best guy is getting beat, everyone else is also getting beat. And it was over and over and over again. And we'll get into kind of a bigger issue when we get into Brock Purdy, because while, yes, Brock Purdy was not great, that is a very big conversation to have, and I want to save it for kind of the later part of the show, because that needs to get fleshed out. And also, I want to keep you tuned in. That's how YouTube works. The longer you're here, the longer I get money. No, I'm kidding. But I'm happy you're here. And while you're here, hopefully you'll like, share, and subscribe. And also use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com. You can save yourself $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. If you want to watch this team play the Rams on Thursday Night Football at Levi South, go to SeatGeek, use that promo code, and save yourself some money. If you want to go to Florida and watch this team play Baker Mayfield out there in Tampa Bay, go to SeatGeek and use that promo code 49ersaccess. The ads are done. Don't worry. Don't worry. On with the show. On with the piss-poor game this was. Out of the break, San Francisco finally starts to find their defensive groove. They get a third 3 and out. They have an amazing and probably one of the biggest or best defensive plays. There weren't many of them, but on a 3rd and 2, Micah Williams gets an amazing stop on Travis Etienne. It forces a 4th and 1. They false start, leads to a punt. Great. 17-6. Awesome. Awesome. You go down, you get a touchdown, you make your second half adjustments, and you're right back in the football game. And guess what? That is exactly what San Francisco does. Second play out of halftime. Boom. Tungus, 24 yards downfield. I'm hoping when Kittle comes back, whenever that is, they don't take Tungus off the field. I get it. He's the Kittle right now of the receiving game, but he's pretty good. Like, if you want to run 2 tight end sets, I know Farrell's the blocker. Not been impressed. I thought Luke Farrell was once again terrible in this game. He fumbled once. As a pool lead blocker, he's letting dudes go all the time. Hey, buddy. Look, I'm no football genius. I'm not paid to be. However, I know when things are bad. I know when guys don't do job. Luke Farrell usually don't do job. And if you know me, I always say, to quote Bill Belichick, do your job. You were literally paid, brought in here, given big money. In fact, you were San Francisco's first priority free agent during the offseason, in which they gutted a lot of the team. You were the guy they brought in. And you've been really bad through 4 games. Now, I think Luke Farrell can get better, but you're paid to block. And right now, you're not blocking nobody. So that's a problem. Now, maybe I'm wrong here. And maybe it's like one play and it stuck with me. Sometimes that happens. Maybe the tape says different. But I don't have the all 22 yet. Thus, I'm going on the broadcast feed. And what I saw wasn't good. Thus, hey, Luke Farrell, do your job. Do your job. Anyways, back to this drive. San Francisco goes pretty good. Big 24-yard catch to Tungus. Then Purdy, late coming out, incomplete pass. 3rd and 6. What do? High points the ball to Jawan Jennings for a first down. Get a big pitch to Christian McCaffrey, holding on Jacksonville. Bing, bang, boom. You're in the red zone. Play action bootleg to Kyle Shanahan. It's incomplete. Almost picked up. Here you go again. Holding on Jacksonville. The next play, run by Brian Robinson, 2nd and goal, shovel pass to Christian McCaffrey. That's a receiving touchdown, not a rushing touchdown, I believe. I think that's right. I'm going to check right now. Where's the box score? There it is. That's right. It's a receiving touchdown, not a rushing touchdown. Okay, you're back in the game. You go for a 2-point conversion. You want to make it 14-17. And guess what? 3rd and Juwan, he gets hammered up in the air and just annihilates his ribs, his shoulder, his ankle. It breaks him in half, but guess what? He catches the football, he comes down with it, and you go 8 plays, 73 yards, 4 minutes, and 4 seconds, and now it's a 3-point game. And this will be a reoccurring theme throughout the entirety of the second half. Wow, San Francisco's in it. Oh my God, they're out of it. Oh, San Francisco's in it. Oh my God, they're out of it. Oh, somehow they have one last chance to still win the game. Oh, 2 plays later, they're out of it. This game was the epitome of the Michael Scott of The Office. Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. You have no idea what that does to a guy. This is what this game was like. I was shocked San Francisco had a chance till the very end, but they did, and they just could not get out of their own way the entire time. This game felt like 2024 all over again. Mistake after mistake, issue after issue, bad offensive line play, bad quarterbacking play, receivers couldn't catch, just guys getting hurt left and right. Just a terrible game. Terrible game, but right now in the game, it is 17-14. Awesome. How does your defense respond? Can they get a big stop? Can you finally take the lead? The first play, you can tell the crowd's getting into it. They're chanting, "Let's go Niners!" Lawrence gets rattled. He misfires to Hunter. The next play, Khalil Davis gets some pressure off a stunt. He gets a big PBU. Bang, it's 3rd and 10. San Francisco blitzes. It forces a big false start. It's 3rd and 15 now. Then another big penalty. Stout gets the INT. They're going crazy. Oh my God, it's the first one all year. The first one since 2024. Nope, here comes a flag. DPI. It was ticky-tacky. I don't think it was a foul, but guess what? Guess what happened anyways? San Francisco finds a way to get off the football field 4 plays later. A big run by Etienne. Then he gets stuffed twice. San Francisco declines an illegal motion penalty, so Shanahan gets his way at some point. 3rd and 7. Winters undercuts a route. Boom, gets a PBU, and you get the punt. Awesome. This is perfect. This is great. What's going to happen here? Then we realize, 17-14, you had the ball on your own 20-yard line. hey, there's no Ricky Pearsall. And we all said, what happened to Ricky? You cut back to the last drive. Purdy's late getting the ball to Pearsall to the left sideline. Pearsall kind of goes up and just slams his knee, not the one that already bothered him walking into this game, but the other one into the ground, and he never came back. Ever. He didn't come back. And I'm sure you're like me. I thought, oh wow, he's doing high knees. He's trying to get himself back in the game. Then I said, wait a minute. You know who else was doing high knees last week? Nick Bosa. And his season's now over. Now, I think Pearsall is going to be okay, but that took Pearsall off the field the rest of the game. The rest of the game, there was no Ricky Pearsall. So, I don't know. Let's see here. There's 2 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes. With about 7-ish minutes left in the third quarter to the end of the game, no Ricky Pearsall. About a quarter and a half of the game left, no Pearsall. A guy who has been so clutch for San Francisco, their best receiver. In fact, right now, really their only reliable receiving threat, not named Christian McCaffrey. Like, that really isn't too controversial. Not on the field. Almost the entire second half. Okay, fine. You have Brock Purdy out there. You have momentum. What do? At least get us a field goal. At least march down the field and get us a field goal. Tie the game up. No harm, no foul. You find a way to even things out. The fans will take it. Your defense will take it. They'll hopefully get a breather. Nope. Purdy throws a pick right to a defensive back, or linebacker, excuse me. Devin Lloyd was his name at LSU a couple years ago. The broadcast was like, well, it was tipped on the offensive line. I'm sorry, buddy. I get it, you're trying to layer a throw over the linebacker. That's great and all, but guess what? There's another guy right there. That ball's getting picked no matter what. Whether it's tipped, whether it's flipped, whether it's kicked, whether it's tricked, whether it's bibbity-bobbity booed into the guy's hands, it's getting picked no matter what. Bad throw. Bad decision. Wouldn't be the first time you heard that in this game. And it's been a very big problem for Brock Purdy. And while there's still more Brock Purdy to come, this is a time where I'd like to point out some struggles he has had. In his last 6 games, I believe, he has 10 touchdowns, 9 total turnovers. In this game, Brock Purdy, for the San Francisco 49ers, the $53 million man, 2 touchdowns, 3 turnovers. If you're counting, that's 4 touchdowns, 5 turnovers this season. A lot of back-breaking ones. It's a problem. It's who he was at Iowa. It's a reason why I fell in the draft. And although it's not panic just yet, there is starting to be a unfortunate track record and precedent being set. I believe in the last 17 games he's played, I think he has 20 touchdowns. And it's not great. It's not great by any means. I'm not going to flip it up here. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to make up stats. But I'll just tell you this. In his last 17 games, the touchdown to turnover differential is not that good. I'll put it that way. I don't want to mess it up, but it's not great. It is showing signs of 1 touchdown to 1 turnover per game. And you can't win games like that. And that includes interceptions and fumbles, which not every interception's built the same. I get that, but that's where we're at now. And that's where things are. If you want to get paid $53 million per year, which Brock played himself into, you gotta not turn the ball over. In fact, Trevor Lawrence was begging San Francisco's defense, take it. I don't want it. Take it. I don't want it. The difference was they couldn't bring it in. When they did, they got called for a penalty. Whereas San Francisco was like, take it. Take it. I don't want it. And Jacksonville said, thank you. I will take the ball for free all the time. And in fact, I think the only offensive score, I think, the only offensive score Jacksonville had today was not off a turnover, was the field goal they made after San Francisco made it 6-14 before halftime. I'll say it again. Jacksonville's first points came off the Luke Farrell touchdown, or fumble, excuse me. Their first touchdown came off the Farrell fumble. That's 7 points off turnovers. Their next touchdown was off the Purdy interception off Chris McCaffrey's hand, so 14 points off turnovers. The next one, 3 points, was a field goal after Purdy's second INT. That's 20 points. 20 points they gave Jacksonville off turnovers today. So if you're doing quick math here, the only actual points Jacksonville scored was on special teams and a crazy field goal. 17 points off turnovers. That's the right math. Math is hard. I don't know how to count right. Anyways, 17 points off turnovers. I messed that up so bad. Either way, 17 points off turnovers. You cannot win games like that. You're never going to win games like that. When your quarterback throws 2 picks and fumbles once, Farrell fumbles, special teams is like, we don't know how to do anything nowadays. It just a complete disaster of a game. Where I don't know if you leave more impressed by Jacksonville or more just befuddled as to how bad San Francisco played. Like, is this kind of a, it's just a one game and it's September and whatever. Like, yeah, San Francisco is 3-1. They beat the Cardinals. They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Saints. They won all 3 games against NFC opponents thus far. You're 3-1. That's great. You did your job there. But to play this bad, to play like you've really never played the game before, and are like, am I supposed to give this to the other team? And to lose this game, yet still be so close, yet feeling so far. Like, this game felt like it was a 20-point differential the entire time, but it never was. And to play this bad, knowing you have the Rams in 4 days on Thursday Night Football, it makes it worse because now Pearsall may not play on Thursday night. Jennings, who knows what's happening with him. And we all know Monday morning or Monday afternoon brings more injury news. So, like, who else is hurt? And so your worry, your anxiety builds. We're like, San Francisco's 3-1 now. They should have been 4-0. Like, they played terrible and still could have won this game, which we'll get more into Purdy and like what I believe about this later, but kind of a bigger picture thing. It's like, you could have been 4-0 and you could have lost to the Rams. It would have sucked, but guess what? You play them later in the year at your own home, and you could then steal the tiebreaker back, and even if you lost that game but won this game, you'd still be in first place. And now it's like, no, now you're playing for first place. Because if the Seahawks win and the Rams beat you, you drop to third place. And if the Cardinals win, albeit there's tiebreakers involved, that's not where you want to be. You don't want to say, well, we have the tiebreaker over second and third place. Thus, like, no, you want to say, hey, we're a young team. We're not playing great. We have some injuries, but we got some guys that are playing pretty well. And we're in a good spot. And look, San Francisco's still in a good spot. Thursday hasn't come yet. Who knows what happens? I'm going to assume they're going to lose that game because the Rams are great this year, but you never know. Things can change. The Rams could go out there and lay an egg too. But you'd rather have this game be a win and walk into Thursday night saying, you know what? Yeah, you want to win, but it isn't the end of the world. We're not going to lose our place in the standings. Now it's like, oh, you played your worst game of the year so far. Now you're playing your hardest opponent of the year that can put up 28 on you in a split second. And they could be 4-0 right now too. So this game is a very frustrating loss because it really set San Francisco back. It was like, if you won this game, you're entering the toughest part of your schedule against the Rams, the Buccaneers, and the Falcons, and the Texans too, who got a win today, albeit against Tennessee. Like, you're playing supposedly 4 tough teams next. You're kind of guaranteeing yourself at least a 500 record. And now it's like, I don't know. I'm a little less confident now in this team, but let's keep going down the track of the game because this thing is freaking just storybook. Brock throws the pick. It was a bad pick. I don't care what you say. It was terrible. Don't make that play. And guess what? With the ball on San Francisco's 28-yard line, the defense plays bend don't break. It's 20-14. In my notes here, I have Jacksonville, 17 of their 20 points off turnovers. Defense continues to play bend don't break, and Brock Purdy sucks. LOL. San Francisco, next drive. The next drive, they go 3 and out because on 3rd and 9, well, back up somewhat. Run by CMC, Williams gets beat. Run by CMC, Williams gets beat. And you're like, oh my God, it's 3rd and 9. This is bad. 3rd and 9. Kendrick Bourne. Buddy, I love you, KB. Love your smile. Love your swag. I would love you more if you wouldn't drop the ball 3 times. This one was the most brutal. Okay? Your defense plays bend don't break. A 6-point game. 1 drive still gets you the lead. The scenario has not changed from your last offensive drive. That's great defensive play. That is great situational football by your defense. How does the offense respond? 3rd and 9. Bourne, wide open. Had a lane to run probably 20, maybe 30 more yards downfield. If he cut across the middle, there was space to move. A lot of it. A huge amount of space.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
What does he do? I'm going to catch the ball. No, I'm going to drop the ball instead. Drops a wide open pass on 3rd and 9 with your entire team reeling. Again, you had momentum, gave it right back to Jacksonville. Then you go 3 and out, and you're like, we can't gain momentum back. But okay, this sucks. Still a 1-score game. Game's still close. Can our defense, who is probably exhausted by this point in time, if they already weren't from the first half, what do? Well, guess what? You aren't even going to take the field because we are going to give Parker Washington a massive punt return touchdown. And maybe it was just me. I put my head down and I said, you gotta be kidding me. Like, everything that could go wrong is going wrong, will go wrong, and continue to go wrong. Like, there's just no way we are winning this game. This inevitably was the back-breaking play, touchdown for Jacksonville, but a lot of time left. But this was kind of the point where we were like, oh, I'm demoralized. I don't feel good anymore. I want to go lay down and kind of rest my head. You got any water? I'm feeling dehydrated. I've been yelling too much and screaming into the void. My wife's out there being like, I may want a divorce. You're yelling too much at football. And I'm like, honey, I'll sign the papers now. It's Niners for life. You're just temporary. And she was like, okay, that's too far. And I said, wait. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyways, punt return touchdown, 26-14. And you say, okay, how you gonna answer? They don't. they get to 4th and 3. Ball on their own 35-yard line. Incomplete pass to Christian McCaffrey. Josh Hines-Allen's beat Trent Williams. Then you hit Demarcus Robinson for 20 yards downfield. 20 yards downfield. Then you hit Christian McCaffrey, who then fumbles the ball. He fumbles the ball, recovers it himself, thankfully. He just, even that was like, wow, that could have been a lot worse than it actually was. Yikes. But you get the ball, or you're marching downfield, right? You're on Jacksonville's 26-yard line. You can go for a field goal. You can go for a touchdown. What do? Right? Like you're now down by 2 scores. You're now down, 26-14. You can go for the field goal and make it 26-17, but then you're still down some points then. And there's about 14 minutes left, so a quarter to go, and it feels like things are getting really tight and really close, and you can't expect to be, in position to score more. They go for it. They don't get it. Funny enough, could have changed the game, maybe. Could have changed how your offensive game plan was in the final drive. Who knows? But would have made the game 26-24 to end, which maybe could have set up a game-winning field goal had things been different. But that is a scenario we'll never know. Anyways, turnover on downs, still 26-24. Okay. Jaguars have the football on their own end. You get a huge stop on 3rd and 1. Luter and Fred Warner stuff the runner on 3rd and 1. You get a punt, and they punt the ball all the way to San Francisco's 8-yard line. And then funny enough, this is the drive in which San Francisco says, hey, we know it was hard, but here we go. You get a big 3rd and 1, huge 29-yard completion in kind of the weird flat open area where it's kind of like a Purdy rolls to his left and is like, I'm going to throw it to Christian McCaffrey. Acts like CMC's not open and then kind of draws Jacksonville's defense away from him. Then turns quick right back to him. He runs 29 yards downfield, which this was the drive where Mark Sanchez kept saying, like, yeah, I don't think that play is supposed to go like that. Like, that's not how they're being drawn up in the playbook. And that was, although a very large part of the frustration was the offense not putting drives together and not scoring and turning the ball over. This was the first time where I was like, oh, the offense isn't just playing bad. It's not even working. Like, and maybe Sanchez was wrong, but this felt like, oh no, the broken plays are what's working, not the offensive game plan, the play calling itself. Like, this was becoming a problem where the plays that are schemed up to work just can't work. Guys aren't getting open. The offensive line isn't playing well. The running game sucks, which we'll get into that too really quickly here. But anyways, they go all the way down the football field. They do a fake pitch to Robinson. He works his way back to Kyle Juszczyk, 10 yards, screen to Tungus. He runs for a touchdown. They go 8 plays, 92 yards in 4 minutes and 16 seconds. And Brock Purdy finally shows a glimpse of that late game magic. Okay, it is now 26-21. You've answered back quickly. You are in a place that you may have a chance if your defense can hold them to set up, like the game against the Seahawks, like the game against the Cardinals, one final winner-take-all drive. And I kid you not, on this drive of Jacksonville, the ball is kicked off, and I don't know what happened. It wasn't a terrible return, like 29-yard return, whatever it was, by Jacksonville. They're on their 30, no harm, no foul. Chase Lucas, who preseason hero, looks great, gets an unnecessary roughness call, which, hey man, what are you doing? San Francisco needs to have some situational awareness here. Late in the game, 1-score game. If Jacksonville scores any points here, the game's over. You're not getting 2 drives. You have to have some wherewithal to say, you know what? I can't be dumb. Once the whistle blows, I got to get off my guy. I don't touch nobody. I don't look at nobody. I don't even breathe at nobody. I don't even think about nobody. I just walk over like a robot and say, hey, I'm good. Lucas gets called for a 15-yard penalty. They're immediately on San Francisco's side of the football field, or at least close to it, right? The drive starts on, San Francisco's 47-yard line. And it's like, you just gave them a free 15 yards. That's a fairly nice return. 30, 35 yards. Like, they're there. You done messed up. And I'm sure you're thinking it. I was thinking it too. That's the play that damns them. After all of this nonsense, all the turnovers, all of the blown issues they've had, all of the offensive line struggles, all the running game struggles, Purdy's crap of a game he's had, that's the play that'll condemn them to a loss. That's the one. An unnecessary roughness call on Chase Lucas. You gotta be kidding me. Like, that's it? Jacksonville, they get a pretty nice 3rd and 1 conversion via quarterback sneak. They ain't called for holding. They get Jacksonville backed up on their own on San Francisco's 40-yard line. The Niners defense gave up 7 yards on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plays. 7 yards on 7 plays. Yes, it was helped by a Brian Thomas Jr. hold, which wasn't really a hold, but whatever. It's a makeup call. I'll take it. And you get a ball complete to Brenton Strange on 3rd and 11 on the 36-yard line. And I don't know about you, but I'm sure you're like me. You're screaming, miss it, miss it, miss it. And the NFL gods say, hey, we're here to save you. Your prayers have been answered. He's going to miss this. And Jacksonville's kicker has been lights out almost all year. He misses the kick wide right. And guess what? That was even alluded to by the broadcasters on Fox, Adam Amin and Mark Sanchez. Oh, the wind's tricky here. You see how that ball kind of maneuvered around? He misses the kick. You got a gift. Ball on your own 37-yard line. Just over 2 minutes to go. Purdy at the helm. $53 million man. No, 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Even more time. There's no time to rush. You have plenty of time. The first play, a 13-yard completion to Christian McCaffrey. It gets the ball to the 50-yard line with about 2 minutes and 52 seconds to go. You're in a great space. Great space. Just now over 2 minutes. You have 1 timeout left. You're in a good spot. You're in a really good spot, I believe. And there's no reason. There's no reason to rush. You can take your time. There's no reason to panic. It's exactly where you want your $53 million quarterback to be. If you asked anybody, any head coach in football, hey, if you paid your quarterback $53 million, wouldn't you want that dude with the football with just over 2 minutes left in a 1-score game to march about, 65 yards to win it all with 1 timeout? They would say, oh, sign me up. Heck yeah. And this is where the Brock Purdy conversation must begin. There was some little chatter early in the show, but this is really where an hour in. I made you wait an hour because this is what you want to hear. Brock Purdy sucked in this game. There's no way around it. If it was the toe, it was the toe. Still not great. If you're healthy enough to play, you're healthy enough to win games. Brock Purdy, like he was against Seattle, was turnover prone, albeit there was more heroics in that game. Turnover prone, mistake ridden, high pointing, inaccurate, but this time he didn't get bailed out by a great catch by Jake Tunges. And I love Brock Purdy. This is not a referendum on Purdy's career. However, and there's so much that goes into this because part of the fan base is saying, why did Mac Jones play? You won 2 games in a row. If Purdy wasn't healthy enough to be out there and the toe hurt him that much, which I think there was signs it did, why didn't Mac Jones play? He was active. He was the backup. Why didn't he play? I do think Purdy's legs looked fine. I think Purdy's legs, in fact, saved San Francisco at times in this football game. However, to watch Brock Purdy go out there through 2 games after getting paid big money, albeit with no George Kittle, with, in this game, no Pearsall at the end of it for about a quarter and a half, no real Juwan Jennings impact after the 2-point conversion catch where he hurt his ribs or whatever it was. Demarcus Robinson didn't play much at all, which I know he hadn't played yet, but he played the entire preseason. He played and practiced every single OTA day, every single training camp day, has been in shape the entire time he's been not playing. So why wasn't he playing? Why wasn't it any different than, hey, you were injured, now you're healthy, now you're playing again? What was that about? I don't know. I don't make those choices, but that's a confusing one for me. Back to Purdy, though. So you don't have your guys. Okay, that is a built-in excuse. However, I can't excuse one bad interception, maybe the first one tipped, not your fault. Second one was tipped, but still right to a guy in a way. But the thing is that, man, Brock Purdy is paid to win games like this. And while there are built-in excuses, he's paid to win games like this. Whether you want to say it or not, you pay players, mainly quarterbacks, to win games like this. When the running game isn't working, who do you expect to lift the offense up? Your quarterback. When the offensive weapons drop 6 passes, who do you expect to say, hey, why did the Jaguars give Brock Purdy one final drive? In fact, Brock is supposed to say, wow, they're going to regret giving me this one final drive to win this game. For how bad we've played, they gave the football back to me? They gave me one chance to escape this hellhole of a game with a win? Ooh, they're going to regret that. It was supposed to make fans ask on Monday morning, how did Jacksonville lose that game? San Francisco turned the ball over 4 times? Gave up a special teams touchdown? How did they lose that game? And the answer was supposed to be because Brock Purdy had an insane, clutch, game-winning touchdown drive. You want to know why? Because he's paid to have those drives. And he got lucky against Seattle. Okay, I don't mind some gunslinger. That's awesome. That makes Brock special. It elevates him over middling quarterbacks. However, he didn't do that today. He wasn't the only problem. I'm not blaming this loss on Brock Purdy. But he's paid $53 million to win games like this. Now, could Brock come out against the Rams on Thursday and light it up? Yes. I'm not writing off Brock Purdy. However, we are living in a Monday morning that really should be a victory Monday. And the team played terrible. No excuses there. Not just on Brock. We're all on the same page, right? But can we all agree that with one final drive in the game, you'd fear Patrick Mahomes, you'd fear Josh Allen, you'd fear Lamar Jackson, heck, I'd even fear Baker Mayfield right now. And he didn't have Mike Evans. He had a hobbled Chris Godwin. And they played Philadelphia's defense. And they almost came back and won that football game. But Brock Purdy, with no Pearsall, no George Kittle, no running game. All that's true, and we'll get into that too. It was a problem. It's not all on Brock. But guess what? When everything's going wrong, what do you want your franchise quarterback to do? Answer the call. Ring, ring. Operator, who is this? It's Brock mother effing Purdy. And I'm here to win the football game. Where is the killer instinct? It got back into no one's open, run game not working. Was it hero ball? I don't know. But games like this can't happen. When your backup tight end fumbles, when special teams gives up a touchdown, your quarterback's supposed to kind of stabilize, there's that word again, stabilize everything. I'm not saying be a game manager. I'm not saying don't be Brock Purdy. I love Brock Purdy. But sometimes it's a little too much Brock Purdy. He's not seeing the field well. He's forcing throws into windows that aren't there. And this is a big thing, in the last 2 games he's played, week 1 against Seattle, and this game, back-breaking second half INTs after your team makes a stop. It happened against Seattle, and it's happened against Jacksonville. It's a problem. You can say, well, Sterling, he doesn't have any time to throw. You're right. You are right. It's not, Brock can't beat 11 other guys. I'm not saying he can. But you are paid to do more than turn the ball over 3 times. And Brock Purdy, with the game on the line, fumbles the football. The pocket collapsed. I get that. Throw the ball away. I know you want to scramble and make a play. I love you, Brock. You are an awesome dude. And I think you're a good quarterback that can be a great quarterback. But the need to make the big play every time sometimes leads to mistakes. Sometimes you have to realize, I'm in a bad spot. Get rid of the football. And look, again, I'm not saying hinder yourself. I'm not saying don't be Brock Purdy. I'm just saying, you know what? Sometimes be less Brock Purdy. It's okay. That as a quarterback, like the defense at times needs to, like Chase Lucas needed to, you got to have situational awareness. The pocket's collapsing. Your center gets beat. Your right guard gets beat. Your left guard gets beat. What do? You don't run up the middle with the ball kind of, it's like you're freaking, like you have a fan trying to cool yourself off. Just tuck it down. You got time. Or guess what? Throw it away. It's okay to inaccurately miss somebody out of bounds. Joe Flacco used to do it. Drew Brees used to do it. Tom Brady did it. Peyton, like all the great ones did it. Mahomes does it at times. And look, even Josh Allen, for all the things he does wrong, and it's not many of them, but sometimes hero ball can cause him to lose games, he'll throw the ball away too. And that wasn't the only issue. You just can't turn the ball over 3 times. That's the bigger complaint here. That when everything else goes wrong, when you can see, oh crap, like this is going to be tough, you have to put it on yourself to say, you know what? They'll make mistakes, but not me. Not me, not I. And I don't want to compare Brock to Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy Garoppolo had his own faults, his own drawbacks, own limitations. Brock doesn't have the same ones, albeit all quarterbacks do have limitations to their football game, and Brock has some as well. However, one of Jimmy Garoppolo's greatest traits, and I don't really know how to kind of describe it or kind of sum it up, but I'll just say it this way. Whenever he threw a pick, whenever there was a fumble, which there was a lot of them at times, he always found a way to get right back up and start slugging again. Like a boxer that gets knocked down, you think it's a KO. He goes, nope, I'm fine. And he comes back with the jab, and the uppercut, the left-right hook. That was Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, was Garoppolo carried at times? 100%. No one's saying he wasn't, but when he made a mistake, when somebody else messed up, you know what he didn't do? He didn't compound the issue usually. He found a way to say, we can't afford to make these mistakes. And I want Brock Purdy to be able to do that too. To say, hey, we aren't the 2022 San Francisco 49ers. We aren't the 2019 or 23 or 21 San Francisco 49ers. We don't have that defense. They're playing great football, but still, they're young. They'll make mistakes. We don't have those offenses right now. Hopefully soon, once they get healthy. We aren't running the football well. Hopefully soon. We'll see. It doesn't seem like it's ever going to change, but still, I can't compound the issue. I'm paid to not compound the issue. And I guarantee you this, had Brock not thrown 2 picks in this game, if you want to say one wasn't his fault, that's fine. The second one, though, the brutal one, that's a big one. If you don't make that mistake, they probably win this game. Now, it was a little crazy game, so who knows, but you cannot pay someone $53 million to compound the issue. It's like bringing in somebody to fix your debt and them adding on to it, like every single president ever. Oh, fix the debt. Why is there $17 trillion on there now? Who did that? It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Oh, it was you. And you were hired to fix it. What happened there? Right? You can't have Brock operating as government officials, wasting money, making mistakes. You can't do that. And Brock, through 2 games, he's 1-1. He has 4 touchdowns and 5 turnovers. You just can't do that.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a sea captain. You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team. Shouldn't it be the same for your insurance? So don't settle for just any insurance when you can go with a leader. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The fan base is mad today. And I'm not saying call for Mac Jones. That's no. We're not doing that. Yes, did Mac Jones play great in Brock's absence? Sure. He won you 2 games, close games. His play was the difference in those games. What I don't want to hear, though, is people saying, well, Mac came back against the Cardinals. He had Pearsall. It's a big difference. Also, a way worse defense. A way worse defense than Jacksonville. But it doesn't change the fact that Brock has to play better. This play from him is unacceptable from a franchise quarterback, for a guy you gifted $53 million. And you can say the box score is, we have 309 yards and 2 touchdowns, who's averaging 8.1 yards, and you can point to the EPA and the Q. I don't care what the box score read. You lost. All I care about is you have more turnovers than you had touchdowns. You are not attributing to how much you are hurting the team. And yes, there were some plays that Brock was awesome. I mentioned there was a semblance of the magic of Brock Purdy making a comeback play. There was nowhere to be found on the last drive. There were so many drives where it's like, what did you see? What were you thinking? It's first down. You don't have to make a layered throw for 25 yards downfield when clearly there's 5 Jaguars defensive players around the dude with the ball. Can you make that play? Yeah, I've seen you do it. Should you make that play on your own side of the football field right now? Probably not. And look, I don't play quarterback. I did in middle school. I was out there with the orange Nerf football, slinging that sucker like 1 billion yards downfield. I was gunning that puppy downfield. I don't play quarterback in the NFL. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's easy. It's not. I want to give Brock all the respect he deserves. But you ask anybody. You ask Brock Purdy himself. You know what he'll say? I can't play the way I did today. That's how you lose football games. And this fan base, in a kind of zoomed out kind of scope here, they're looking at the regime, at the product on the football field, saying, you paid that guy that money? And there were already some skeptics here. I'm sure somewhere Joseph Ehrenberg's in here in the comments saying, oh, Sterling, I told you so. Which, Joseph, in this game, in one example, you're right. But I think it kind of paints an overarching picture, because you paid, not you, but the 49ers paid Jimmy Garoppolo a ton of money. At the time, the most by a quarterback ever. He was the highest paid quarterback in football when he got paid. It lasted like 2 weeks, but still, he was somewhat successful. 2019, great year. 2020, hurt. 2018, hurt. 2021, there was some issues. Played bad, and they played really good. Then he got hurt, and they came back, and he had a jacked up shoulder, jacked up thumb, and then he played okay. They won 2 playoff games. They were maybe a quarter away from going to the Super Bowl again. Okay, a semi-successful tenure. Shanahan said, not my guy, not who I want. You're first moving off of the assumed, who they paid, franchise quarterback. You can go and get Trey Lance, 3 first-round draft picks, down the drain. Also a 3rd-round draft pick that everybody else forgets, down the drain. Trey Lance was terrible. Another shot at a franchise quarterback that wasn't good. You failed. You don't usually get 1 chance to miss on a guy. Sometimes you get 2. When you miss 2 and both those guys fail, usually you get fired. Here comes Brock Purdy, JCPenney's khakis and all, and la, saves your job. 3 years later, you pay the dude, rightfully so. I'm not saying you don't pay him, but 2 games since you paid him, you got part of the fan base saying, whoa, that's what we're paying for? And I'll be patient with Brock. I'll give him time. Maybe it was the toe. Maybe it was the offensive weapons. The offensive line has sucked all year. This regime and their inability, their lack of urgency to address the offensive line is staggeringly idiotic. I don't get it. They're stupid. I'll say it here. They're stupid. You want to invest at quarterback and not protect the guy? That's stupid. You want to invest at running back and not give the guy lanes to run? That's stupid. You want to have your best offensive lineman be a 37-year-old left tackle? That's stupid. It's stupid. I hate saying that. I've been in the building. I've been in the room with the guys making choices. I'm sorry. As a fan, it's stupid to not want to protect your assets, to help your assets you're leaning on, be a part of the team to help raise you back to a playoff run, to kind of just say, I will figure it out with the 7th-round rookie, a UDFA backup, Jake Brendel, who was a castaway from the Dolphins a couple years ago, who had 1 great year so far, and since then has been dog crap. A 3rd-round pick last year, having a somewhat sophomore slump. It happens. My hopes are still high. And McKivitz, who's been fine. I'm sorry. Fine. Sophomore slump. Hopefully he'll get better. Bad. 7th-round pick and a 36, 37-year-old left tackle. That doesn't cut it in the NFL in 2025. I'm not shocked Trent's slowing down somewhat. He's 36, 37. I'm 28. I've slowed down since I was 22. I mean, come on. Brock has to play better. No excuses. Bad throws, bad decisions, all those things are clear. You're paid to stabilize when the chaos is around you. It's like asking a parent when you're a kid, hey, my day's crazy. There's stuff happening outside I can't, whatever it is. Who do you run to? Mom, Dad, protect me. It's the same freaking thing. It's the same thing with the NFL. Special team sucks. Defense plays bend, don't break. Backup tight end fumbles. Who do you run to? Quarterback, protect me. Save us. And you're expecting that dude, that parent, to come up clutch and make a play. To, I don't know, not kind of add to the dysfunction. Right? And Brock did that today. A lot. 3 different times. 3 times. Not great. Now, for as bad as Brock was, which was really bad, I would not be shocked to see that Brock leads starting quarterbacks with turnovers after 4 weeks. He's played 2 games. Maybe I'm wrong there. I'm sure I'm missing some guys. Penix probably in there somewhere, but 5 turnovers. I know Lawrence had 4 interceptions, but he's got to be high. Like, Brock came into the year, or this game, with like the 8th highest turnover-worthy play percentage. I'm sure it's like 12% now. I'm sure it's really high. Like, you just cannot put the ball in harm's way. I get it, but like, don't. Like, that's way simplifying the problem, but it's like, don't do that. I know you feel pressure. I know you feel like, the offensive line isn't doing their job, but like, just don't. Like, you have to be smarter than that. Brock's a really smart guy, but it's becoming, I don't want to say clear or evident, but I can now see where people are saying he kind of needs things to be perfect around him. And look, that isn't to say take away Mahomes' weapons, they've struggled. Lamar Jackson, guys fumble, they'll lose games. Like Josh Allen, and he's not a great example this year, but there's been problems in the past. Like, quarterbacks can't catch the ball. Quarterbacks don't always fumble the football. Like, Brock wasn't the only problem today. But Brock playing a cleaner game would have 1,000% helped. If it was 1 less interception, maybe they win the game. Maybe they win the game. But I do want to get into kind of a bigger issue we're noticing, and one that I might contradict myself here. That's okay. We can do that. This is my show. One issue we're seeing is, and I did some math, which math is hard for me. I'm kind of dumb. But my bachelor degree may say differently, but trust me, I'm dumb. The Niners, one thing I caught of Trent Williams in the postgame press conference saying was that we got behind and we couldn't stick to the run. And then he said, honestly, the run game, I don't think that was our issue today. And I said, that's interesting, because Christian McCaffrey ran 17 times for 49 yards, 2.9 yards per carry. Really? Brian Robinson, 5 carries, 21 yards, 4.2 yards a carry. If you do some quick math, that is 22 carries for 70 yards. If you divide 70 by 22, that is 3.18 yards, 3.2 yards a carry. Hey, that's a problem. When you talk about, who helps stabilize, you can go back to Jimmy Garoppolo. What did Shanahan do to stabilize when he threw a pick sometimes? Ran the football almost exclusively. In fact, he didn't trust Jimmy Garoppolo almost at all after a game against the Vikings in the playoffs because he threw an interception. He ran the football like 38 times against the Packers. Garoppolo had like 4 completions or 4 attempts the whole game. It was a low number, single digits for sure. The Niners can't run the football. So, kind of paired with the Brock Purdy conversation, when Brock's playing poorly, when maybe he throws a pick and they want to get back on track, kind of reestablish the tone, get kind of the ball rolling again, if you will, they'd run the football. I did the math here. The Niners are running the football 29 times per game this year. 29 times. That includes 22 in this game, which was under their season average of 30 times per game. That was inside the top 10 coming into today. It's inside the top 12 leaving today. It's not that they don't do it. They just can't do it. And the problem is it's putting pressure on the quarterback with the lack of weapons around them. No Kittle, no Pearsall in the second half today, essentially. Juwan Jennings has missed some time. Robinson came back but didn't play much. Bourne is like receiver 5 or 6, dropping passes. You have your third and second string tight ends. There's clear deficiencies in the room with the offensive weapons. Okay? The Niners this year, their quarterbacks, Purdy and Mac Jones combined, have averaged 38 passing attempts per game. Does that seem abnormally high? Yeah. Week 1 at Seattle, 35 attempts for Purdy. Not ideal whatsoever. Some games, you just aren't going to be able to run the football. Okay, it's week 1. It's CMC's first game back. Kittle got hurt mid-game. Maybe they'll get the ball rolling. Jennings didn't play and practice the entire training camp preseason. It was kind of a stick in the mud. Okay, there's built-in excuses, okay? Week 2 in New Orleans, no Brock Purdy. What do? You think Christian McCaffrey, backup quarterback, Mac Jones? No. Mac Jones dropped back 39 times in his attempts. Against the Cardinals, no Juwan Jennings. What do? You haven't scored a rushing touchdown all year. You gonna run the football? You might. It might be a good week to try. No, 41 attempts for Mac Jones against Jacksonville. Albeit you were down at some points, but the game really was never out of reach. They're a good run defense. They were top 5 coming into today. Brock Purdy dropped back and had 38 attempts. 38 attempts. That is not including 2 scrambles. He dropped back 40 times today. It doesn't include 1 sack. 41 times today. Essentially. 38 passing attempts. You know who's top 5 in passing attempts this year? The Dallas Cowboys. They suck. The Browns. They also suck. That's first and second for passing attempts. Those teams cannot run the football. They're always down big late. They're always playing catch-up. I know Green Bay had a tie against the Dallas Cowboys, and the Cowboys almost beat Philadelphia. The Dallas Cowboys suck. They have to drop back over and over again because they're usually down a big margin, and they come back at times 40-40. What is Sunday Night Football classic in overtime? Anyways, top 5 in passing attempts per game. The Dallas Cowboys. The Cleveland Browns, they also suck. San Francisco is 3rd. Then the Panthers and the Chargers. And the Chargers, for being as good as they are, minus against the Giants today in week 4, have never been able to run the football. Like, what? A Niners team led by Kyle Shanahan, who has openly said he would love to run the football 35 plus times a game. Every game. Like, that's his ideal number of attempts to carry. Is letting his quarterback attempt 38 passing attempts. You want to know why? Because he can't run the football. And receivers can't get open. And the offensive line can't pass protect. And the rushing is hindered by a terrible offensive line. And for perspective, you're thinking, well, what were the previous years like? I also did those numbers. Last year, not a great year for San Francisco. 6 wins. Brock Purdy missed some time. A lot of guys were hurt. They weren't great. That's what led to this year. It led to kind of a retooling of a season. 31.4 attempts per game. For as bad as they were last year, nearly 7 attempts less. They ranked 23rd in football last year in passing attempts. They were still trying to run the football a lot. 2023, a Super Bowl near winning season. 30 passing attempts per game. That ranked 30th, bottom 3 in the league. 2022, 3 different quarterbacks. Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo. A lot of reasons to not want to pass the football, but 3 different quarterbacks playing 3 different styles. 29.5 attempts per game. That ranked 27th in football. 2021, 29.4 attempts per game. That ranked 31st. 2020, a terrible season for San Francisco. Led them to Nick Bosa, a 4-win season, 2-win season. Whatever it was, I had erased the number from my mind. Number 2 overall pick, worthy season. Wait, that was 2018. I'm dumb. Anyways, this is the Ayuk season. Also equally as bad. Not good. This is the Javon Kinlaw 13th overall pick year. See, I told you I was dumb. Here we are. Give me some time. I'll get it right, I swear. 2020, 35.6 times per game. That's a lot. That ranks 16th in football. In 2019, 28.2 times a game. 31st in football. To kind of read them again in some way. When San Francisco is winning football games, they have ranked 30th, 27th, 31st, and 31st. Clearly, either bottom 3 or bottom 6 in football and passing attempts per game, they're top 3 this year. That's a problem. You can't expect your quarterback to drop back nearly 40 times per game when you're throwing to Sky Moore and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Kendrick Bourne. And I like KB. He's not a great player. And you don't have Pearsall. And you don't have a fully healthy Juwan Jennings. And you don't have George Kittle. And I think Tungus has played fairly well. But so many things can be true at the same time. Special teams is still the worst in football. The red zone offense can't score because they can't run the football inside the 20. Receivers can't get open. Receivers, besides Pearsall, and usually Juwan Jennings, can't drop 6 passes. Brock Purdy can't turn the ball over 3 times a game. The Niners still can't run the football, and the offensive line got their ass handed to them. I know it's an hour and nearly 40-minute podcast, but it needs to be said. This team is younger. They cannot afford to have games like this. 4 turnovers, a special teams touchdown allowed. If they continue this trend, which there was always little cracks in the game against Seattle, in the game against the Saints, in the game against the Cardinals, they finally played a real defense and an offense that wouldn't turn the ball over. The Cardinals don't really have a real defense. They can't run the football. San Francisco played the best offense they played all year. Because Etienne is a great runner of the football. Tootin has some power. And guess what? They made all those mistakes and still had a chance. But if you do this against the Buccaneers and against the Rams, maybe against the Falcons, you're going to be sitting at 3-3, 3-4. You're going to be having a long, hard conversation about, whoa, what just happened? And you're going to have more questions about Brock Purdy. You cannot average 2.5 turnovers per game as a starting quarterback in football. You get benched. Kirk Cousins got benched last year because of stats like that. And Purdy has shown to be better than Kirk Cousins. Long podcast. This Niners team put together the worst performance maybe of the entire Week 4 slate and the Titans got shut out. Like, sometimes it truly is about how you lose. I can accept a loss. That's fine. In fact, I even told you guys, they might lose this game. I can accept a loss. Had Jacksonville walked in and just kicked San Francisco's arse and said, you know what, we're a better team. You came flat-footed. You're bad. And San Francisco didn't make so many mistakes. They just kind of willed themselves past San Francisco. All right, you got us. You got us. I know what happened. There was some of that, but San Francisco had a chance after 4 turnovers to win the game. Jacksonville wanted to lose this game. And to end, can I say that Liam Cohen might be my least favorite head coach in the NFL and may have overtaken Pete Carroll as my least favorite head coach? What are you mad about, brother? You beat San Francisco. They said you steal signs legally, and you have the audacity to walk over to Saleh after you refuse to shake his hand, get about 5-10 yards away and say, keep my name out of your mouth. No, get on back to Jacksonville. You're probably going to be in the playoffs. We'll see. But like, you're a first-year head coach talking down to Robert Saleh, who, with what he said, probably going to get suspended or fined in a big way. Hey, you can't threaten somebody. Like, that's a no-no. But, brother, get to stepping. Not a great game by San Francisco. The good thing is, maybe a bad thing is, you got 4 days to erase it all and play the Rams. Massive game this Thursday. Huge game this Thursday. Might be a big factor in the NFC West when it's all said and done. Might be a must-win game for San Francisco now that they lost this one against the Jacksonville Jaguars. San Francisco falls 26-21 in an ugly defeat. Hated it. Didn't love it. Want to vomit it out if I can. Erase it from my brain. But you know what helps that? It went on Thursday against the Rams. Hopefully you guys will follow me on social media at 49ers_access is the X and the Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And tell me in the comments below or on social media as well, what were your takeaways from this game? Do you feel how I feel? A long podcast. I had to vent. Hopefully you guys listened. I appreciate every single one of you. Hopefully you guys can like, share, and subscribe to the show. And until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett. And as always, stay faithful.